grandfather actually owned a bowling center. And he was one of those people that realized early on, hey, people bring their kids to league nights. There's kids running around the bowling center throwing toilet paper everywhere. Maybe we could distract them somehow. So, you know, he was part of this movement of putting arcades in bowling alleys. I took to them like that, like right away. Then my grandfather, being the technophile that he was, had an Atari 2600 pretty much right when you could get an Atari 2600. So I had one, my grandfather had one. He also had an Intellivision, which was a slightly different gaming experience. It felt like a little more of an advanced gaming experience than the Atari 2600. The other parallel gaming experience that was kind of blowing up at that time were desktop computer-based games. So you have your arcade universe, you have your home console universe, and then you have your desktop computing universe, which slowly what started happening over the years is that you just see all of these different types of gaming experiences sort of morph and evolve and converge into one kind of experience. I had the first iteration of the PlayStation. Twisted Metal was a game that I really loved. I think Wild Arms is probably my favorite game because RPG games are always my favorite. I've been playing Skyrim for a year. I don't have a ton of time anymore to play all the games that I want, so the reason I'm still playing Skyrim after a year is that I just, you know, like, oh, I have an extra hour this week. I want to sit down and play Skyrim. And then right around the early 2000s, I really started realizing that video games were taking over my life in a way that I needed to take a break from them. I would actually be, you know, like supposed to be writing or auditioning for something or focusing on stand-up. All I could think about was, oh, I have to get home and finish that one quest. And so I had to give up video games for a while. A couple years ago, I bought an Xbox. I start slowly kind of getting back in. Still kind of had to be a little wary of getting back into games. Played a little bit around with Red Dead Redemption. Really was using the Xbox to basically stream movies and stuff. Still kind of scared to get back into it. The last couple years I'm way back in. Also because I travel a lot, I've been playing a lot of games on the iPhone, games on the iPad. As soon as I can play Skyrim on an airplane, it's going to be a real problem for me. Storytelling in a video game has to be engaging. It's not passive. You know, a movie you can sort of zone out to, but a video game you have to be engaged, and you have to be actively engaged nonstop. The quests that you're going on have to be for a reason that makes sense to you, or you're just not going to be interested. I used to say animation was the most complex medium, because with animation you have art, you have writing, you have music, you have backgrounds, you have timing, you have the voice actors, you have acting. So many things have to perfectly sync up for it to work. And then video games, you have everything on top of that. It has to be an engaging user experience as well. So I think a good video game, I think, is probably the hardest thing to make. I don't see the audience or the industry shaping more than either side. I mean, it's a relationship. You know, obviously because the industry is, it's a capitalist industry, so it's going to ebb and flow with the desires and needs of the audience. And at the same time, the audience is going to get things that it didn't know it wanted from the gaming industry. It's just a constant, I mean, I think they're neck and neck. The audience will start to drift into one direction and the gaming industry will try to satisfy that, and the gaming industry might introduce something else, like a new technology or a new style of gameplay, or like some sort of a network integration or something that it didn't know it needed. And so I think it's a very hand-in-hand kind of a situation, and they are growing together. The gaming industry can't control the audience because the audience wants what it wants. And the gaming industry is really there to serve the audience because their ultimate goal is to make billions of dollars. And so I think it's a relationship like any other relationship. The audience and the gaming industry are dating. Sometimes they have fights. Other times they can't keep their hands off each other. You know, they have to keep it fresh and they have to keep surprising each other, and they can't ever let it get stale. Look, too much of anything is not amazing. Playing too much video games is not an amazing thing. I don't think, just making a kid play outside for 8 hours doesn't necessarily make him well-rounded. That's just too much of that one thing. I mean, I think it is nice to find a balance. We are predisposed to want to be engaged at all times. I feel like technology right now for humans is really just a way to find new and more innovative ways to distract ourselves from ourselves at all times. And that's certainly what video games give us, is an escape from reality. And, you know, the more we can escape from reality, I think the better for most people. But they're not inherently bad. I mean, nothing is inherently bad, really, for anyone. It's just sort of how you apply those things. People learn a lot from video games. I think they learn problem-solving techniques. They learn math. They learn science. They learn motor skills. I mean, you know, you watch like 3 or 4-year-old kids now you see them on tablets or iPads or even like playing consoles, and they just fly through, you know? That has to be useful for something. You know, kids who can process information faster and can problem solve quicker. When you're watching lion cubs play, it's adorable, but they're learning valuable skills. And I think the same thing is true with video games. It's like, if I had a kid, I wouldn't be like, no video, you know, of course I'm gonna let him play video games. And also, they're fun. What is wrong with fun? Kids need to have fun, and that's how kids have fun. Who wants to go outside? You know what's out in the world? Lyme, tick disease. Who wants to go out there? It's a dirty, filthy world. Jack me into the Matrix. I will drill the port into my own neck. Jack me into the Matrix. I want to learn Kung Fu in 2 seconds. You know, you just can't reinvent the industry every 6 months. You can't, it's not possible to groundbreak all the time. So I think that the onus is a little bit on us as a consumer to really stop expecting that to happen. You know, a game like Mass Effect 3, right? There was a section of people that didn't like the ending, or they were dissatisfied with the way the game ended. And it's just this like big, huge thing. Can you imagine playing Mass Effect 3 like even 10 years ago? That game looks mind-blowing, and yet, you know, we still have that. Gamers are the song, "What Have You Done For Me Lately?" Yeah, but look, we have this really incredible gaming experience, it's really cool, it's this space epic. Yeah, but what have you done for me lately? Games. You know, some of the problems I think in the gaming industry are the consumers. Not all of them, but if there are problems, some of it's our fault because our expectations are so high. Our expectations are just immeasurably high now for what a gaming experience could be. You know, part of that is also in the gaming industry for constantly negatively reinforcing us by being like, oh, okay, oh, the baby's crying, here, just give it a waffle. Yeah, but you know, it's not good to give a baby a waffle every time it cries. I know, but it'll make it stop crying. The gaming industry is just constantly shoving waffles into our fat baby mouths. So we have to give it a little bit of a break sometimes. I love video games just because they're fun. It just makes you forget about everything and it makes you feel like you have a sense of control. I mean, in a sense, you do have a sense of control over a universe. You have a sense of control over an avatar, which, you know, you imprint your personality onto, and then you're in this world. I get emotionally attached to followers in Skyrim. What happened to my follower? Where'd they? Oh my God, I have to go back and I feel so bad. I think in the early days of video games, it was really just about skill mastery. But now I think it's really about living a life you might wish you had, or with powers you wish you had. I think from that sense, it's actually kind of taking those kind of mini brain vacations are really healthy and important. Hashtag rad. Hashtagging outside of Twitter. Hashtag still using the word rad.